Open the velvet rope, welcome into the VIP lounge, and get yourself some bottle service. The Phoenix Suns defeat the Los Angeles Lakers 130-104. I guess we can call them the Los Angeles Lakers. Really, Dennis Schroeder and Pat Beverly were only the two players that you really recognized out there tonight, but the Suns took care of business without Devin Booker. We are brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Use that code PHNX when signing up. I'm Espo, your host. He is Saul Bookman. Gerald is out at the Footprint Center, and Lindsay is still in health and safety protocols. So what do you think of tonight's game? What do you make of it off the top here?
It was much like the Clippers game last week, where it was just it's not a get-right game because now this is 3 in a row that they've won, but two of those three were against teams that were severely depleted and didn't have any stars playing. So you're glad you won. It looked like CP3 was trying to get working out some of the kinks that have plagued him this year, and thought he played well, and we move on.
Yeah, look, we learned after that 5-game losing streak and that 10-game stretch that a win is a win, and you take it when you can get it. But this isn't one that I write home about and say, hey, look, everything's right in Suns world. They did what they were supposed to do tonight and took care of a Lakers team that had no business being in it. And they made it interesting at times, but the Suns led for all but 2 minutes and I believe it was 30 seconds in this game, 2 minutes and 39 seconds. The Suns team didn't lead for in this game. They led 44 minutes, 41 seconds throughout it. I think it's time to ask, what's in the box? Let's take a look at what's in the box score tonight. As we said, Suns.
Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Have you not seen 7? What's in the box?
No.
Oh my God, you've never seen 7?
Mm-mm.
That is one of the most famous scenes in movie history.
Mm-mm.
I'll let you know. Spoiler alert.
There's a head in the box.
I've
heard about all that, but I didn't know that.
It's his wife's head in the box.
It was said like that.
It was said like that. Anyway, so your Suns defeat the Los Angeles Lakers 130-104, as we said. Dominated on the boards tonight. They won that battle 51-38. 22 points off turnovers to the Lakers 7. And I think the most important and most interesting stat tonight, 1 Kuzma in attendance for the Suns.
It could have been for both teams, though.
It could have been, but I'm going to say it was for the Suns.
Sure.
Because it was in Phoenix tonight. So yeah, there was a Kyle Kuzma sighting. Don't get too excited, all right? The Wizards are in town tomorrow night to play the Suns. So, maybe he needed something to do before he went out to Scottsdale.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he just played the Lakers last night, lost to the Lakers. Now he's in town for the Suns tomorrow night. Hey, it's cool that he's in town. Hopefully the Suns fans showed him some love and told him that they wished he was here and hope that he does get to come here. I think things are I'm just going to say I feel like things are moving. So something's got to happen at some point, whether it's with Kuzma or somebody else, I don't know, but pretty cool.
I feel like that's a message. I don't think a guy that plays in the NBA really is like, you know what, I got a down night. You know what I should do? Go watch more basketball. Like,
I don't know, man. When you're on the road, you got nothing else to do, and if you don't want to go, get all jacked up in Scottsdale, why not kill the night? Listen,
go get a nice dinner.
One of the things, they get nice dinners all the time. Like just about probably every night they can go to a nice dinner. So I don't know. My perception of it is like guys love ball. Like these guys, these NBA players, they love ball. And it's much better when you don't have to play.
That's true. I mean,
so it is
more enjoyable.
It's very rare that gets to happen during the season.
That's fair. Also, shout out to the GERTHlings who all got the movie reference. And one gentleman had a deep cut. He thought it was from the movie UHF, which is another one of my favorites. Weird Al movie there. But let's talk about some of the stats.
I saw like 2 comments.
There were like 5 people referencing different things. John Doe as the upper hand.
How many people do we have
from
in the chat
Killer
right now,
Rex.
Jacob?
Matt talking about it.
130.
Yeah,
yes, all of them.
But only 15 likes, so these fuckers can
all
like
of the
this
ones
video.
commenting. Jacob, nobody told you could talk. Where's Emma when we need her? So let's talk about some of the actual stats though that we saw there. Suns won the battle of the boards tonight, which is important. When you're playing an inferior team, you got to limit the number of opportunities they get. I thought they did very well on the boards tonight.
No, yeah, I mean they handled their business tonight. I mean, I'm just going to keep going back to this. They handled their business tonight. I thought DA started off very, very strong. He was assertive. He was ready to go on the boards. He was solid. They didn't give up a lot of sloppy boards for the most part. There was a couple of things here and there. I thought Bryant for the Lakers was more of a nuisance than anything else. But it was a solid performance all the way around. The Suns are at a point right now because of the little slump that they had before the last couple games where they just needed to get some things kind of worked out. They needed some fundamentals worked on. They needed to get back to the basics and play good team basketball. And you saw that tonight, especially on the rebounding side.
Yeah, definitely. And points off turnovers, 22-7, another area the Suns dominated. And one of the guys that was particularly well in the transition was Chris Paul tonight. Finished with 28 points, shot 50% of the field, 9 of 18, was 3 of 5 from 3. So pretty good night for him. He's now 8 of 13 from downtown in his last 2 games. He's starting to find a bit of a rhythm. But what I liked about him tonight was they didn't have Book to play point guard. They didn't have Campaign to back him up. So they went away from letting other guys necessarily take the ball up court. Chris Paul was back more in his element, being the guy that had the rock in his hand, hit some of those middies, hit those open threes when he got them. I liked what I saw, but I'm not overreacting because it was this depleted Lakers team.
Well, yeah, it was, I think in the first half they did try to experiment a little bit more with that. They gave Landry an opportunity to run the point, and Landry was hot dog shit in the first half. He was not good at all.
And
I don't care what anybody says.
Half
second half, he was better, but in the first half, he was not good. And it kind of forced the Suns' hand. Even though that second unit did play fairly well and caused a lot of havoc out there, they just didn't have any scores. And so that was more problematic. And I think that's why you saw Monty leave Chris Paul in there in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, because he needed some scoring. He wanted somebody solid to be able to handle the ball. DA didn't even play in the fourth quarter, which for a guy that had 21 plus and 11 plus,
I'm okay with it though, coming off the ankle injury. Most of the time, if he only played 25 in a game he was playing, well, I'd be right there with you and go, why isn't he playing 30 plus? But coming off the injury, big men with some ankle issues, you want to make sure you're keeping them safe.
Yeah, but at the same time, nobody ices out Deandre Ayton like Monty Williams, so I don't know what to take away from that.
I agree there. When he was in, they kind of went away from him. He had, I believe, 13 in the first quarter, and then only finished with 21 because they didn't go back to him. One of them, a nice 3 that he hit at the top of the key. I'm glad he took advantage of that. By the way, Regina Hall, shout out to you and Chris, your son who watches the show in the chat. Thanks for being part of the Girthlings tonight. I'm not sure that they can win an NBA championship this year, but we'll talk about the Suns. Yeah,
I think she's asking about the Thunder.
Well, the Thunder definitely can't win a championship this year. That's not going to happen either. But so with Chris Paul out there tonight and the shooting he had, 28 points, 8 assists, I think it's time to name him our DraftKings king of the game. Really, we had talked about DA, but then it's at the fourth quarter. So what the hell? Jacob with the crown placement on Deandre Ayton while Chris Paul is behind him, patting him on the back. Jacob can't even get the assignment right when we make it easy for him.
Chris Paul, this is actually a pretty good photo because he's slapping Deandre Ayton on the back, telling him to go sit down on the bench so that way he could pad his stats in the fourth quarter and become king of the game. Because originally we did have DA as the king of the game at the end of the third quarter. Yeah. And then he didn't see the floor in the entire fourth, and Chris Paul dropped some buckets, and here we are.
We sure he's not about to smack DA in the side of the head? Like, why he's screwing up on that last play kind of thing? I mean, we hear Chris Paul's a dick all the time, right? So Chris Paul, our DraftKings king of the game, 28 points, 8 assists, shot 50% from the field. Another good night for him. And if you want to have a good night, the DraftKings Sportsbook app is a great place to do that. With the NBA season heating up, it's time to place your bets. You can do that on any game. I mean, you had multiple games you were betting on tonight, right, Saul?
Yep, and I lost them all.
Yeah, but you had fun betting on them. You were checking them out during the game.
I was more into the fantasy football because we're in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, Chris Paul was supposed to give me a double-double. Lost
Came
that.
close, too short.
And then Mikal Bridges was supposed to give me a double-double. He came woefully short. I got the Suns money line right, but that didn't really mean anything. So
was it? Oh, it was a parlay. So
and then the fucking Spurs. Are you kidding me tonight? The Spurs beat the Rockets by like 20, and I lose. That's the only one I missed in an 11-team parlay. You fuckers.
Well, look at that, Saul. If you want that kind of emotional roller coaster like Saul had this evening, the DraftKings Sportsbook app is here for you, and I recommend it taking advantage right now, because if you download the app and sign up using the promo code PHNX, you place $5 on a pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game. You're going to get $150 in free bets if they do. It is just that easy. Again, use that promo code PHNX only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Congratulations, Chris Paul.
Also, in addition to that, gambling and beer go hand in hand. I don't know if you know that. But we have our holiday cheer box, compliments of Four Peaks, our friends over there. It's an advent calendar for beer. It's fantastic. It is number 19 today. You want to do the honors today?
I will. Let's see what it is
So
today.
Espo's going to break this bad boy open. But again, we have so many cool events coming up. We got the PHNX Tea Party coming up on January 13th, presented by Four Peaks. And so that's going to be a fun time out there on the golf course at Dobson Ranch. If you don't know about it, hello, you're missing out on the most epic golf event of the year. We're going to have a 41 bays. You can play as a single, you can play as a foursome. Kids 10 and under get to play in a free clinic out there. We have a putt challenge. We have a 3-point contest because we have a basketball hoop out there. Just a bunch of cool stuff for everybody, for you and the family. So come on out. We're going to be watching the Timberwolves versus the Suns, and we're going to be doing our pre- and post-game show out there. So again, presented by Four Peaks. And if you're going to partake responsibly, 21 and over, please.
41 bays, B-A-E or B-A-Y?
You know what it is.
All right, just wondering. By the way, the Impale Ale, number 19 in there. I don't know how I feel about it, though, because it does look like salad on it, and I usually avoid greens at all costs. But I'm sure the beer tastes fantastic. I would love to try it, but I don't have a bottle opener over here.
It's a good thing, too, because you're shaking the shit out of that bottle.
I am. Hey.
I got a bottle opener right here. No. You want to try?
I'll aim at your direction, just like last show when that Redberg Lager exploded as well when we were doing the show. Let's look a little bit beyond, Chris Paul and Deandre Ayton tonight. I mean, we know that they both played really well, but if you look across the board, there were 6 guys in double figures for the Suns team tonight. It was a complete effort when you look at it. We complain about Mikal Bridges' inconsistency. Tonight, he wasn't great from the floor. He shot 43%, 7 to 16, but he did have 20 points in this game. And, I think we got to at least acknowledge that he went out there and he got points when they needed it tonight, even though he wasn't the greatest percentage from the floor.
You're talking about Landry Shamet?
No, I'm talking about friggin' Mikal Bridges.
Oh, sorry. I got distracted by a comment. My bad. There's not really much to say about Mikal Bridges. He hit his open shots in the first half. After that, you didn't really notice him on the court at all.
No, he had that one
fizzled away, and that was about it. He didn't really make much of an impact outside of, defensively, he just does what he does. But offensively, he was okay.
It's a weird game when he's playing at the start of the game defense on Pat Beverly. Like, they felt like that was the most important guy to put your defensive stalwart on.
He should have been on Dennis Schroeder.
He should have. Schroeder finishing with 30 tonight. But one of the good things about Mikal only played 30 minutes tonight, where he's usually upwards of 38 to 40 easy on a nightly basis. He only came in at 30. Damion Lee came up big tonight. I liked what I saw for Damion Lee. Instead of starting Shamet They started Damion Lee. He went 5 for 10 from 3-point land, 50%, had those 15 points and 6 rebounds as well to go along with 2 assists. This guy is one of those guys that we looked at and went, oh, okay, so they signed a guy from Golden State who's Steph's brother-in-law. Great. But every opportunity he gets, he steps up and he does it well.
I feel like I've hit the throwback machine. I feel like Damion Lee was solid. Again, like the whole team was solid. Nobody was spectacular. Outside, you could even say Chris Paul was really, really good tonight. So I won't say he wasn't spectacular. He had a couple moves. He had a couple moves that I felt like, threw you back to last year, the 2 years before, where he kind of did some people, which was nice. But in terms of Damion Lee, again, he hits the open shots when necessary. He always seems like he hits a key three when it seems like the other team's about to make a run. And he's just a dog overall. So always happy with him. What I was saying throwback is I felt like we're about to go down this whole damn roster and give flowers to every single person now.
No, I'm not going to go full Lindsey Smith on you tonight for sure. But I do want to – we had a large discussion on Saturday night about Josh Okogie. And he had a few moments in this game that I thought were pretty spectacular. He did unfortunately leave the game with an injury, a sore something, because apparently the only thing that the Suns get injured with is soreness. There's never anything other than soreness when they have an injury. But Okogie played 9 minutes, grabbed 3 boards, but had a spectacular 360 layup, which I didn't think I'd ever utter the word spectacular 360 layup, but it was pretty impressive out there. I enjoyed that moment. That was probably my favorite moment from this game because there wasn't a lot of excitement, but Josh Okogie doing a 360 layup was pretty impressive.
It was. I don't know what to say to that because I don't know if I need to break that down or not.
Well, I thought you wanted to get back into your Okogie is more important than Chris Paul.
He jumped off his left foot.
I just thought you might want to tell me Okogie's more important than Chris Paul this season.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. This fucking guy. And we were like, somebody literally said at the start of the show, they can't argue about Chris Paul tonight because it was pretty obvious. I completely agree. And yet this freaking pest over here is trying to find a way to make this argument all over again, and I'm not happy.
You heard it here first. Saul agrees with me. So let's take a look at our PHNX factor of the evening. This is a guy that his impact on the court may not have been the biggest, but was important. Torrey Craig tonight came out the gates and was a man possessed on the boards. It was unbelievable. I finished the game shooting 85%, including 100% from deep. 4 of 4, had 17 points. I loved, and it was his birthday. I loved what we saw from Torrey Craig. I need to see more of this when he goes back to the bench, either when they acquire Kyle Kuzma or when Cam Johnson's back. This is the kind of performance that Torrey Craig really can have an impact on this team.
Yeah, I mean, Torrey Craig's always had an impact on this team. Even going back to last year when he played so poorly, that had an impact on this team. You know what I mean? So when Torrey plays at a high level, the Suns are they're just a different team. They got a little bit more depth. They're a little faster on the court because he gives you that versatility to be able to get out and run. He's a terrific all-around player, and he's one of the key cogs of this team. And so to see him perform like he did tonight is no shock. He's basically been doing that all season long, just, offensively, maybe he doesn't give you 17 points every night, but the effort is seemingly always there. And when Torrey Craig gives you effort, he gives you opportunities because of the rebounding, the extra hustle effort. And so it's great to see it. And 32nd birthday. Congratulations to Torrey Craig. 32 is the best number ever.
Well, his athleticism continues to surprise me, right? He had that play where Mikal was in no man's land under the basket, and Torrey came out of nowhere coming down the lane and almost posterized a guy. Unfortunately, got fouled pretty hard and didn't get to finish it. But I love just the sneaky athleticism, and it's great to see him hitting his threes again this year. That's what he did in the finals run season was he came in and he hit those threes effectively. Didn't do that down the stretch last year, which made that impact slightly less for him. If he has this rhythm, I don't want to get overly excited about this team, but you start looking at it and you go, if they get healthy, and what some of these bench guys have been able to do in spot starts and long-term stretches, they may have something here, and this experience may actually help them out down the road.
I'm not going to go there because I'm about 100% committed to the fact that they need to get another scorer in the house. I don't care what the bench does. I just feel like they need that one extra piece that's going to help out Book and Chris Paul in the playoffs. Like, so, it's nice if they play well. If the bench unit doesn't drop off, then obviously that's definitely a feather in your cap. But I don't think that anything this team does right now, as it's constructed, will win a championship, and that's the ultimate goal. So, yeah, I mean, again, you got to improve, and you got to improve in your performance. So, yeah, I would say that their improvement can mean a lot in terms of how far you can go. But, whether that's the first, second, or third round to me is really the answer. I don't know about championship.
Girthlings in the chat are talking a lot about Kuzma. You brought up needing to trade for a scorer. Is he enough? Is he that guy in your mind? I don't know that he is in mine.
He's better than what you have, which is nothing in terms of Jay Crowder.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's really the thing that sets it over the top. Now, it depends on his consistency. If he can be a consistent player for this team, then you look at a lineup, okay, of let's just say it's going to be CP3 Book, and then you have Mikal, and either Kuz or Cam. I don't know which way they would go. And then obviously DA, and then you would have campaign. Let's just say it's Cam Johnson off the bench, Torrey Craig. Now you're kind of back to where you were 2 years ago with the depth, feeling pretty good. I just still feel like they might need another smaller, another piece, maybe a more consistent outside shooter, because the one problem that you're going to have, especially off the bench, is campaign, Landry Shamet. Those are like your two outside shooters on that bench unit. And Cam Johnson, obviously.
Shamet may be a part of a deal you make, too.
So well, you got to hope so, because Sham was, I literally, as soon as I said this, he hit a couple threes and had a couple nice shots. But I said it before that little run he had, I felt like, man, are we watching a G League player? Because that's about the type of production we're getting from him overall. Can't hit a shot.
4 of
damn
12.
Near airballed a layup, like a wide open layup. I'm like, you can worry about that, but he did produce when he was with the Lakers and they won a championship too, as a role player.
But you said
because that's what he would be.
You said consistently. He wasn't exactly consistent as a role player for the Lakers, and he's a guy only shooting 46% and 33 from three. So to your point, you're going to need to get another shooter. You can't. This won't be the only answer. I mean, you hope Cam Johnson opens things up, but I do find it very interesting that he was sitting there tonight. And if that's some kind of signal that at least there may be some talks going on right now for the Suns in terms of trying to acquire a guy like Kuzma to at least fill part of the role that they need. You know who we never have to worry about in terms of filling a role that we need? And more furniture, because these chairs come up big night in, night out, and the chairs in our viewing area are continually spectacular. The recliners to watch games. You made that call on building that area. I don't think you could have made a better call than those recliners from More Furniture. If you're looking to add some nice furniture, any room in your house that you're looking for, More Furniture has their holiday clearance event that's happening right now, and you can save up to 50% off from now until Saturday, Christmas Eve. If you're looking for a last minute gift, More Furniture's got you covered. And if you're looking for a little fun on your Christmas and you're looking to make a little scratch because maybe you overspent on the gifts, well, the Underdog Fantasy app's going to give you that opportunity. Plenty of games.
I like how you always plug the gambling sites as a way to make your money.
Hey, why not?
Like, invest in us. We'll take care of you. I didn't say it.
I'm just saying, if you're looking to try to make a little scratch, the stock market's closed on Christmas Day. Your savings account ain't making you that much on Christmas Day. You can't really sell the toys you just bought for the kids on Facebook. So go to Underdog and try your hand. You got NFL, you got NBA.
But the funnest thing about Underdog isn't even the gambling necessarily. It's like all the different types of like games you can play in order to. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna win some money, yeah. But like my favorite part is just talking shit to my friends here at PHNX that want to lose to me all the time. So that's the funnest part to me. So you can talk
use
shit
that
to your
term
friends
loosely after you talk so much shit to them, but
well,
you can do it. They've
at least
got
I didn't say our producer sucks balls.
Well, he does. I mean, I shared office with him. I could say it. He can't even place the crown on the right guy.
Mo basically said that at the beginning.
What did I do?
Lindsay told us the assignment, and here we are.
This.
You failed at your job.
I was defending you, Jacob.
But Jacob, if you want to get back at me, why don't we play one of the Underdog Fantasy day drafts? So a single day, multiple games. You and I, maybe Saul, will get one of the schmucks from ASU on, and we can draft and see who can win.
No, I'll just play you in Madden and drop 100 on your head
that's
because
fine.
You can't play for shit.
Good. You can beat me in a kids game. Congratulations. If you don't want to play Xbox and waste your time, go into that Underdog Fantasy app. You can play those daily fantasy games. You can also play their Pick'em, which is easy. Higher or lower on stats. If you string 5 together and you get them all, you're going to get 20 times your money, whatever you place on it. That one is my favorite. I've enjoyed that all year. So make sure you do that. And when you sign up for that Underdog Fantasy app at underdogfantasy.com, or when you download it in the App Store, sign up using the promo code PHNX, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you do that.
Also, for those of you asking about injury updates and things of that nature, we're going to wait for Gerald to show up, and then we'll follow up with him because he's going to have the latest more than we do. So we'll keep you posted once you get on.
Girth should be here shortly. Look, we've talked to Chris Paul a lot.
Okay.
We've discussed the faults, where we think he is on his career arc. Does tonight change anything for you? Does tonight make you feel like, all right, maybe there's enough there that he can help this team at times this year?
The only thing that did change my mind a little bit was maybe I have this misperception of Chris Paul and his ability to get ready for a season, because EJ pointed out that obviously coming into the year, training camp was just kind of whatever for veterans at this point. And then he got hurt, and now it's like he's having to play himself kind of back into game shape. And so with that regard, I will say, okay, yeah, maybe it's a little too soon to write him off. I'm not going to say that he's washed, right? But my thing from the very beginning was, if you were going to lose Chris Paul's scoring ability, sorry, the stupid ass phone won't shut up. If you're going to lose Chris Paul's scoring ability, somebody else had to make that up. And it just didn't look like it was there. And I'm not so certain that 28 points against a completely depleted Lakers team is really what's going to make me feel great about it. However, you got to start somewhere. Yeah. And it looked like he was really trying to get to some certain spots. He was trying a couple different things, trying to reminisce and get back to the Chris Paul of old, if you will. So that makes me feel a little bit better. I will feel much better the next time they have a solid test, and it's and the stars are playing, and it's a tight battle, what he can do down the stretch, because that's exactly what we need. The Suns they're only going to go as far as DA, Mikal, and Cam can take them, unless Chris Paul can find old Chris Paul. Then that changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah. This entrenched me in my thought that we talked with Gerald about the other night. The fact that I think Monty is misusing him. They keep talking about Chris Paul isn't comfortable shooting the ball off and being off ball, right? Then why are you putting him in the situation to do that? Tonight, they didn't put him in that situation because they couldn't, and he thrived. He played very well tonight. He looked like the guy that we've seen over the last handful of years. Now, do I think he'll be that guy every night? No. But I think if you put him in a position to succeed, you're going to see him hit those middies. You're going to see him hit open threes like he did tonight, and he was effective with finding his teammates too. to me, part of this is Monty Williams putting him in the wrong spot.
I disagree, because Chris Paul is valuable in terms of his intangibles and kind of leadership out there on the floor, whether he's handling the ball or not. And you're trying to limit his minutes at point guard, because I'm telling you, playing point takes far more out of you than any other position outside of maybe running up and down the court like DA does, banging with the big boys down low, maybe that. But even that, the toll it takes physically to continuously be pressed up the court, trying to get around defenders, set the offense up. Like, I know he's in it, 17, 18 years, but it still takes a toll. So if you can limit that toll and distribute it with everybody else, cool. The problem with Chris Paul is he's been far too hesitant on the offensive side of the ball to shoot the ball at all. And when you do that, teams start to figure out you don't really want to shoot, and they sag back and they can defend the other guys a little harder, which has kind of made the offense a little sticky, if you will. He's got to be more assertive. So I don't really agree with the fact that if you want Chris Paul to play 30 to 34 minutes at point, he's not going to last in the playoffs.
Okay,
he just won't.
But to me, you're asking a guy to do something that he hasn't in his 18 years in the NBA. You're now asking him to change what was inherently him in terms of his offensive game, which I don't think is fair. And I think this speaks to a roster flaw. You don't have a true backup point guard. I love Campaign. Campaign isn't a true backup point guard, and he's not one that can stay healthy. So you can't naturally limit Chris Paul's minutes at point guard because you don't have a guy that can come in and fill in where he could just be simply on the bench. So now you gotta screw around and put him in this hybrid two-guard position that it does not fit who he is or his game. So I think this is somewhat on James Jones for not finding that true backup point guard where you could limit his minutes by not having him on the court rather than trying to hide him or trying to force him into a guy that has to catch and shoot.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from like a bench point of view. I'm looking at even the starting five, even coming down the stretch of a game when you have your starting five out there, regardless of who the backup point guard is, like Chris Paul's got to be out there and he's got to produce. Whether Devin Booker, initiates the offense or Mikal or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like Chris Paul's been in this league for so long. There's been other times where he has played off the ball. Like for him to just come out and be like gun shy as a 37, damn near 38-year-old veteran is just ridiculous. He's got to shoot the ball. And you can see if he's assertive and he's confident in what he's doing, he can produce. We hadn't seen that earlier this year. He was very hesitant. He was super short on almost all his shots earlier in the year. It looks like he's starting to get into the flow. Maybe he's, I don't want to say building his muscles or anything like that, but somehow, some way he's figured out, maybe a subtle twist to his technique to be able to get the ball a little bit higher in the air and a little bit further down the court. So
maybe he's just getting his legs under him.
Maybe.
If you don't have your conditioning, and being out with that sore foot, you're not going to be working on cardio in your legs because that's just not what you do when you have a sore foot. Some of that could come into play. I find it very odd. And I think you overestimate how many times he played significantly off the ball. He's the point god for a reason because the damn ball was in his hands all the time, trying to find teammates. So I think that part of it is just him being uncomfortable with a situation he's not normally in, but hopefully this is signs of life. It's been 2 games that he's been pretty good, 18 and 28 points, coming through, helping this team when it needed it. I hope it's signs of life.
I will say this, so do I. I think everybody does, obviously. Like, I know, and no shit. We know that he's not a shooting guard, obviously. No. But listen, the whole thing about this was preservation. And whether clearly Monty is not capable of pulling Chris Paul out of the game. So Monty's going to version number 2 and trying to put him off the ball so that way he can conserve as much energy as possible there, right? And listen, there's not a lot of teams that have a legit backup point guard. And I think that's a misnomer that the good teams have good backup point guards. No, they don't. Not all of them do. They have good players and they have good depth, but not every good team has good backup point guards. Like, so this, I feel like it's almost like this mythical, thing that exists out there. And I'm like, I mean, can you name more than 2 or 3 good backup point guards in the league? Probably not.
No, look, Gorn, I know people bristle at that because of the way he left, but he's been pretty good in Chicago. He was available.
Awesome.
There's been people.
They are like 8 games below 500.
Yeah, well, okay, but
for a reason.
Because their starters have not played particularly well. But when you look at it, you could have had Kemba Walker, who's been playing well for Dallas. John Wall was a guy that was available, that could have come in and provided you some minutes. There's guys that are going to be available. I brought him up before. Mike Conley is going to be available at some point in Utah, who's a true point guard that could give you. I mean, I know that their combined age would be somebody that AARP and the Coffin companies would be, excited to welcome into their group. But if you're looking at 1 year right now, which is what this is, you're playing for this year because nothing is guaranteed next year. Even Chris Paul being here isn't guaranteed next year. I start looking at those guys. I look around and I go, what teams are going to be looking to get rid of a true point guard that could be Chris Paul's backup?
Yeah, I totally agree with you in a certain lane. But like, listen, the whole league passed up on Kemba Walker. It took them 2 months to get back in the league. And so the Mavericks were desperate because they don't have shit over there because they lost Jalen Brunson. They bring in Kemba Walker, and then he goes off like he gave one, and everybody's like, oh, we could have had him. Like, well, yeah. But nobody was even talking about his ass until he dropped those points the other night,
Well, some people were circling him as a potential guy here in Phoenix. The guy that bothers me a bit, Dennis Schroeder, they apparently had interest in, and he was deciding between the Lakers and the Suns. That guy would look pretty nice as your backup to Chris Paul.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways we can go about this, but at the end of the day, this is what you have. And unless you make a trade and get somebody else in the door, which isn't going to happen with an LA, obviously it's not going to happen with the Mavericks. And then, and John Wall, like, I'm sorry, even watching him the other night, I'm like, John Wall is he's mid at best.
I mean, I don't think that's the name of somebody that was available, but I just think they need to do something there. We'll see how it plays out for him. A big talking point.
I think more than the point guard though, and this is where I feel like we always get distracted with the point guard stuff. More than anything, they need a scorer, because if you get another scorer in the pocket, then you're not relying on Chris Paul to have to score. Okay, number one. So he could still initiate the offense, but now you're not having to rely on him to have to be an active part of the offense every single time down the court. So that could also be a compromise.
No, I agree with you. You need a scorer. I'd like to see a bigger defensive guy too, like bigger in size, not like bigger in terms of his ability on defense, but a bigger guy that could play some defense. Rick James, 2345, brings up an interesting point. If you trade for Kuzma, Monte Morris could be a name that you could get in that deal as well. That's a guy I wouldn't mind as a backup guard here as well. So,
cool.
Another talking point it's stupid, but we even talked about it here tonight. Devin Booker's attire on the bench this evening. He was wearing a Detroit Red Wings freaking pullover tonight. Some people are very confused. Other people are like, oh, cool, he's rocking it. We were split here. I thought it looked kind of stupid because you had the entire bench in purple and then Devin Booker just sitting there in white and red. And it's a little weird to have somebody wearing a logo of a sport. I didn't care that he wasn't wearing Coyotes. Some people got bent out of shape. He wasn't supporting here, but I thought it looked a little weird. for you, I'm guessing it means shit because you hate this kind of stuff.
It means nothing to me at all. Like, he's a Michigan kid. He grew up in Michigan, and obviously he finished his career in Mississippi. So maybe he has an affinity for the Red Wings. Cool. That's his childhood team. All because players come to a city doesn't mean that they got to rep every single team. So that part I don't care about. And the fact that it is a big red and white sweater, I've seen players wear far worse on the bench. So I don't care
Kyle
about
Kuzma and a giant pink sweater that covered his hands. Jacob, I'll let you in out of the penalty box, as it may be. What were your thoughts on Devin Booker
love that intro.
wearing the Detroit Red Wings gear on the bench?
I don't know, like, why anybody would have a problem with it. It doesn't seem like it would cause a lot of issues.
I don't have an issue with it.
I don't really care. He's just wearing what he wants to wear.
Twitter got weird with
People
it.
are just gatekeeping.
As soon as I saw that sweater, I was like, "Oh, I suppose I'm about to be triggered."
I'm not triggered. I didn't care that he was wearing. I just
strictly. No, you were the one that brought up the fine.
No, I wasn't. No, that was Petey.
Oh, that's
Petey
right.
brought up the fine. I'm not gonna fine. Wear whatever. Like, you're not gonna get fined for that. I mean, this isn't David Stern's NBA of the early 2000s where the dress code reigns supreme, and if you're not in a 3-piece suit, you're gonna get fined. You know. You're right over there. Dale Gray says, "I have a problem with it because hockey sucks." I said that very loudly because our Coyotes people are sitting on the other side of the studio here. So we got another game coming up tomorrow night. We'll talk about it a bit in our pregame show tomorrow, obviously. But I feel like, great, you took care of the Lakers tonight, but you have to make sure you step on the Wizards' throats tomorrow night. They're not a good team. They're in a downward spiral. I feel like you have to come out and play very well, which is why I don't mind Deandre Ayton only playing 25 minutes and Mikal Bridges only playing 30 tonight, because you got another game tomorrow.
Yeah, back to back. It's going to be listen, this is your last I think this is your last home game before they hit the road.
I believe so.
No. Friday they're at home too.
Oh yeah, Friday.
And then they're on the road.
On the road for Christmas.
Yeah,
Day.
back to back. And then you hit up Friday, and then you're on the road in Denver on Christmas Day. So, important games for sure, because you got to take advantage of these, meaningless teams that show little effort, and you move on. So hopefully, tonight was obviously a good positive step in that direction, because you didn't have to, really lengthen the time guys were on the court, except for Chris Paul, and that's it.
Jacob, let's see if you can earn your money. You know what to do.
In the darkness, beyond the light,
I can't see
there
him.
shall only be one.
That's the problem.
Welcome to
Hey, there
Gerald.
you are, Gerald. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Hey, it looks like your internet sucks again, but other than that, we're great.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So, most important question that everybody is talking about. Did you see Kyle Kuzma tonight?
I did not, actually. I saw the pictures of him, but I didn't see him until he had already, or I didn't see where he was sitting until he had already left. I was thinking he'd be on the sideline, baseline, or courtside, but no, he was on the baseline, I think. So, yeah, I'm sure everybody's been having a ball with that, though.
Yeah. Well, listen, Gerald, what are we paying you for if you're not going to go down and harass Kyle Kuzma in the middle of a game? Come on. In all seriousness, what can you tell us about injury updates? Because that's also been the other question that's been running amok in our chat.
Yeah, so before the game, we asked about Devin Booker, obviously the groin thing, and Monty was saying, look, that's kind of on me. Obviously, he was going off the other night, but it's a product of me playing him too many minutes. So he didn't, expound on whether it's day-to-day, what type of injury we're dealing with here. It sounded like something that he just kind of aggravated from too much being put on his body. And then as far as Josh Okogie, after the game tonight, Monty said it was something that he kind of injured in the first half, and he tried to play through it in the second and couldn't. So we'll see what the prognosis is on him moving forward, probably tomorrow.
So I shouldn't ask you this, but I'm going to ask you it anyways. In your opinion, is this just load management for Devin Booker? It sounds like that might have been what Monty was hinting at.
I don't think so. I think it might have been. I mean, it could be. You never know. That's the tricky part with this damn team is like the way that they report injuries. It's impossible to read between the lines a lot of times. Um, it very well could be because the Lakers were missing so many guys, but they didn't know that LeBron was going to be sitting. They didn't know that Westbrook was going to be sitting, and I just don't think that's really how they approach regular season games. Chris was asked about pacing for the playoffs, and he basically kind of shot that down. He said, like, if I'm available to play, I'm going to be out there playing. And so, a competitor like Devin Booker, who's of that same kind of ilk, would be in the same boat. If he could play, he would definitely be playing.
Overall, Chris Paul obviously was out there, had probably one of his better games of the season. We had this debate about how much stock are you putting into this game for Chris as we move forward. It looked, EJ was pointing out that it looks like he's attempting to get to his spots. He's being a little bit more assertive offensively, trying to work through some of the things that have plagued him this year. What was your overall take on what you saw out there?
Yeah, I thought he played great, and I think he's getting more used to A, the time that he's spending off the ball, and B, maximizing the time that he has with the ball, getting to his spots a little bit. He doesn't have that same burst as far as freeing himself up from the mid-range, but a lot of times, especially when you're playing a team like the Lakers or the shorthanded Clippers, he's able to get there, set himself, and still have time to get his shot off. That's kind of what I've been seeing. But look, over the last 6 games, he's averaging just under 18 points a game. He's shooting, I think, like 45% from three. So he's starting to get a little bit more acclimated as a catch and shoot guy. And I think what we're seeing over these last handful of games is him making the most of the screens that DA and Biz are setting, and being able to get to the spots that we've been seeing him get to over the last 2 years.
Should we read anything into, again, DA getting a hot start and then them kind of shying away from him and him not playing the entire fourth?
No, not even remotely. They were up by like 24, 26, and then the Lakers went on a run, and then the bench kind of got things under control with an 8-0 run to close the third that put them back up by, I think it was 22 heading into the fourth. So no, I wouldn't read into that at all, really.
Okay.
Who'd you hear from in the locker room today outside of Monty?
Yeah, so we heard from Chris Paul and DA were the two that we got. We also heard from the birthday boy Torrey Craig, who was trying to downplay his age, even though he went, I think he was 6 for 7 tonight, so almost perfect from the field. But yeah, Chris was talking about, he was asked about the too small gesture that Pat Bev hit him with. I don't know if you saw that when they were down, was it 26, 24, something like that. And he was saying, look, like, don't even pay attention to that because he's been doing that for a long time now. And for him, it's just about playing basketball. And good news for Suns fans, DA was asked about, how his ankle's feeling after his first game back. He said it was great. He said the training staff was really helping him keep on top of it so that he wasn't, missing more time and so he could get back sooner. And obviously he was a huge difference to start this game. Just kind of that injection of energy, him being aggressive early. That's exactly what you want to see on a night where you're missing Devin Booker and a handful of other guys.
Torrey talked all about his efficiency from three. He was 100% from beyond the arc, going 4 of 4 tonight. Seemed like, unlike last year, he's kind of found that stroke again.
Yeah, he was joking because we asked him about his efficiency tonight. And he was joking, well, I was inefficient the other night. I think it was 0 for 3 from 3. So he definitely, it meant something to him to get back into it. And you look at some of the shots he was having, a lot of the three-pointers the Suns were getting were like wide open, walk-up threes like it was a shooting drill or something. And Craig definitely benefited from some of those. So he was talking about the way that they spread the ball against this Lakers defense, the way that they were just moving the ball, looking for those open shots, really benefited them tonight.
Cool.
All right. Well, Gerald, you've got shoot around in about 12 hours if they decide to do one on the back-to-back. So we'll let you get out of here, do some writing, and get some rest. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. I love that the theories floating in the chat right now. Trevor Begay gave us a $1.99 super chat that said, Kuz's choice was determined on who wins tonight or who won tonight. So I guess the Suns are the leader in the clubhouse to get Kyle Kuzma right now.
I don't think that's how this works.
It'd be interesting if it was. Mike B also says, wouldn't it be wild to think LA could trade 80 for Chris
I think he
and
meant
Kuz?
DA.
No. He's saying LA could trade Anthony Davis for Chris Stapps and Kuz. LOL, tinfoil hat at Espo. Heard Kuz was sitting under the hoop by the LA bench.
If you're the Lakers, why would you do that? I know he's hurt. I know he's hurt, but still, like, AD's better than Kuz and Kristaps combined.
Because they're trying to get anything around LeBron that can play for an extended period of time. I mean, it's great that AD can be otherworldly for 4 games in a row, but then he gets hurt and he's out.
LeBron ain't going to be there next year anyway, so. Oh yeah,
that's true. I mean,
you know what that means.
This could be an Arizona destination.
To be salty about that one.
Well, when Jeff Bezos owns this team and salaries mean nothing.
That's right, baby.
Let's get going. Let's get it going.
We're going to lose Chris Paul and we're going to get LeBron.
Okay. JJ has a super chat. I'm just trying to read this one. $5 super chat from JT who says, "Do you think Chris Boucher is a player we should go after?"
He's a nice player. Can hurt you at every level. I don't know if he's necessarily a great fit for what the Suns do because he's kind of a tweener. I'm not so sure. I like his game, I do, but I just think there's just too much raw development from him. And again, you're talking about a team that needs a consistent player. They don't need to take a gamble. They need somebody that's going to be more of a sure thing, unless that gamble is on some superstar out there that we've completely forgot about that's had a rough start to the season and wants a fresh outlook. I don't. Yeah, maybe DeRozan. Maybe that's the name. Also, going back to that, by the way, you had made a statement that said, I can't remember if it was on the show or if it was in private. Either way, I'm going to put it out there.
I'm glad you're going to blast me for a private comment.
You said, why would you go get DeMar DeRozan when you already have Devin Booker? And
I think I said that on the show.
Okay. And so I was thinking, I was like, well, because DeMar DeRozan is a bucket. Like, he's a certified bucket. Whether they do it at the mid-range level at the same time or not, you'll be able to figure that part out because of Chris Paul. Now, that's where the Chris Paul factor comes in because he can facilitate to those two. He doesn't have to do the scoring. He can hand off to those two plus Mikal, Cam, DA, and that's what will take Chris Paul to another level without having to carry so much of the load. So, to me, you need somebody that's just going to score no matter what to help out Devin Booker. So DeMar DeRozan to me would be a perfect fit. I don't think it'll ever happen, but he would be a nice fit.
I can see that. It makes me want, okay, you do that. So you're going to play CP3, Book at the 2, DeMar DeRozan, small forward. Then you're going to play Mikal at power?
No, you probably move Mikal to the bench.
Or you trade him as part of that deal?
Cam or Mikal would be part of that trade.
So, I don't know. You need that scorer. So that would definitely answer the question, who's the definitive number 2 on this team? Who's the guy that when Devin Booker struggles could score? DeRozan could do that. We've talked about it. I don't know that Kuzma is necessarily that guy. I think he's another quasi number 2 guy, number 3 guy, like you already have with DA and Mikal. So we'll see. I mean, I know
you can even throw in Cam in there.
I mean, true. I know we're only at December 20th, 19th. It'll be the 20th here in an hour or so, and then we're still significantly away from the trade deadline. But I feel like something's going to break soon.
Yeah,
I feel like there will be. The Suns may not make the first deal, but I think there's a few deals that will happen here shortly, and I think a Jay Crowder one will be one of them.
I could see that. Also, Gilbert Arbayo in the chat said Toronto fire sale incoming. I agree. Toronto is on a downward spiral right now that I cannot figure out to save my life. I don't know what's going on over there. They're probably going to end up pivoting and staying with their young core, but trading some of those valuable assets that they've been holding on to for so long after their championship years to try and get some value in return. Now, who would be available from there? I know Siakam has been rumored to be available. Fred VanVleet could be available. I think he's injured though.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that I think could could be available there. I don't know. They're still sitting at 10th in the East, right? I mean, the East is bad
True.
at that back half, so there's still a chance. I mean, they're only the ironic thing is the Bulls sit a game behind them, the Wizards sit 2 games behind. Those are the 3 teams we've heard where you talk about any significant guy for the Suns could come from. And they're all still within striking distance of playing.
For sure. Trevor Begay gave us a super chat. Thanks, Trevor. Waiting this long for a Jay trade better be worth it. Okay. First of all, waiting for a Jay Crowder trade to happen is not like fine wine. It doesn't get better with age. It's just you got to find the right match. That's all that is. So we might wait all the way up to the trade deadline, and then we might trade him for cents to the dollar. We don't know.
It's like a bad dating app. You're gonna have a lot of conversations before you find the right one, and the right one still might not be the right one.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. Again, if we were to try and trade Jay Crowder before the season, right? Then your options were kind of limited. But as we're seeing in Toronto, this might end up playing well into the Suns' hands, because the longer they wait, more teams start to figure out what they really are. And if Toronto keeps sliding, by the time we get to the trade deadline, or even January 15th, when the last window of players are available to be traded, maybe some other options open up that were not there before at the beginning of the season. So it might play to your advantage. So I know we've been desperate for a trade because this team has needed help, especially the last 2 weeks before last Friday. But it might actually pay off. So stay patient. Hopefully things will work out in our favor. But there's just so many moving pieces because there's so many teams that feel like they still have a chance.
Well, the irony is everybody still feels like this team needs help to make it happen. They're 1 game back of the number 1 seed in the West. They're percentage points back of Denver for number 2. They're sitting at number 3 right now in the West. They're 19-12, even though things have been rough. My concern with the Toronto deal is if you want Siakam, I don't know that you have the horses to get him unless you're willing to part with a DA or a Mikal. And then have you really become that much better at that point is my question. Now, an OG Anunoby, if you get a little further down in that roster, you may be able to find guys that can help, that could be in your price range. I just know everybody wants the big name, and I don't know that they're going to have enough.
Yeah, Siakam would be out of the question. Van Fleet, I think numbers-wise, would also be out of the question. So you'd be looking at some other pieces that maybe they'd be willing to get rid of. Again, I don't think you're going to get a superstar for Jay Crowder.
Definitely.
But, who knows, man? There's a lot of moving pieces. A 3-way trade, the only way you get a superstar somehow, some kind of way, is if you do package a 3-way trade for draft capital and things of that nature in order to get there with another team. But solo, 1-for-1, they ain't happening.
Yeah, Killer Rex says Terrence Ross. It's another name. I don't know that it's one that answers your questions.
It's a filler.
Yeah.
It's a filler. You need somebody that has one discernible skill. And primarily you would hope that was shooting, because that's what you need to score. Like Buddy Hield, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Buddy Hield's available, but Buddy Hield has that one discernible skill that is shooting, and I don't give a fuck what else he can't do. He can shoot the ball. That's what you need right now.
You know what never lets you down, though, isn't a filler. Illegal Pete's. Our friends over at Illegal Pete's
fill me up.
Are one of the newest members of the PHNX family, and they have some of the best Mexican food that you're going to get. And they're here in Tempe. They're down in Tucson. No matter where you're listening in the state, they've got you covered. And we're excited to welcome them here to the family. Check out their location off of Mill in Tempe. Plus, when you purchase $100 in gift cards, so if you buy a gift for somebody else, you're going to get $25 for yourself. And it's always nice when you get a little kickback on it. You can do something nice for someone else and get something nice for yourself. And also, be on the lookout for a few informal happy hours over there at Illegal Pete's with our PHNX Sun Devils crew. Those guys know how to eat and how to drink hard, you'll be able to go out there and have some fun with them. That's all we got for you tonight. We appreciate you being here. We'll be right back here in these seats tomorrow night. Suns Wizards coming at you. We'll have pregame at 6:30. We'll be here for postgame. So for Saul Bookman, you can follow him at Saul_Bookman. I'm Espo. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, Lindsay can't get back soon enough. Ahoy, hoy.
PHNX.
Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like